Hey guys, I'm Harini and welcome to my channel. Today I am going to talk about another eerie topic, the Bloody Mary ritual. First, I'm going to tell you guys how this Bloody Mary ritual is played, and afterwards I'm going to tell you guys about who Bloody Mary is, especially Mary Tudor of England. The other day I was searching in the internet how to do the Bloody Mary ritual, and I was actually surprised to find that they have stated the level of risk of the Bloody Mary ritual as high. It was played by little kids, especially in America, and I did not expect it to have such a high level of risk. Even though the roots of the mirror ritual goes way back into the days, the Bloody Mary ritual played now is originated in the late 1900s in America. And unlike many paranormal rituals that are played today that were supposed to grant you wishes or give you something if you were able to finish it correctly, the only reason to play the Bloody Mary ritual is just to prove your bravery. That is, if you get to encounter the Bloody Mary. So you're just risking your soul, maybe even your future happiness, just to prove that you can withstand Bloody Mary. So how this is played is you have to have a room that could be completely blacked out without no light leaking inside, and if you have any windows you're supposed to cover them, and you have to have a mirror, a candle, and matches or a lighter to light the candles. So I saw many different variations of this game. I will first tell you about one version, and I will later tell you about the little variations that are there. And so this is actually one of the simplest, if not the simplest ritual, and it is only supposed to take a few minutes of your time, like 2 or 3 minutes. So what you are supposed to do is completely black out the room, light your candle, place your candle in front of the mirror, and then stand at least 1 arm's length away from the mirror, and then chant Bloody Mary 13 times. You're supposed to start softly and make your voice louder as you go, and say the 13th one with finality. And when you stare at the mirror, it is said the Bloody Mary will stare back at you. I have to say, if this works, it is going to be absolutely terrifying. Just imagine yourself in a completely blackened room with a candle in front of you just to lighten the whole room, and then you stare at the mirror and somehow you see some figure staring back at you. It is also said that the way the Bloody Mary is going to appear in front of you is going to depend on her mood as well. Like, the scarier she appears, the scarier she is. I will get into the little variations. So one is you have to repeat Bloody Mary only 3 times. Sometimes it says you have to repeat Bloody Mary 7 times. There are variations that says that you have to turn around holding the candle. Some says that you have to have running water, therefore you have to do it in a room that has a faucet. I have to say, whatever version it is going to be, it's going to be absolutely terrifying. There is no way to fully cleanse the ghost or the demon Bloody Mary when it comes to the mirror. There are little suggestions, like you can use sage, you can draw a cross on the mirror. It also says never to use the mirror ever again, and also like make sure not to break the mirror, because whatever bad energy now trapped inside that mirror can get released. So I don't know about you guys, but I would like to not waste a perfectly good mirror just to prove my bravery. So as to who Bloody Mary exactly is, there are 3 assumptions. One is Mary Wales, another is Mary Roth, and the last is Mary Tudor. So it is said that Mary Roth is someone who was executed for practicing witchcraft, and Mary Roth is a victim of a car accident, or even a vengeful ghost of a mother who has lost her child. But as for Mary Tudor, she is the queen who ruled England from 1553 to 1558, also known as Queen Mary the First. So let's talk more about Queen Mary and why people ended up calling her the Bloody Mary. She was the daughter of King Henry VIII, who was born in 1516, and before she was born, King Henry and her mother has tried having children, but all of them have either been stillborn or have died very young, and Mary is known as the fifth child of this couple. And even after Mary was born, no matter how many times her parents tried to give birth to another child, the results remained the same. As for young Mary, she was known as a very precocious child, which is very unlikely when it comes to children. Children are the least precocious beings in the world, I think. But I mean, it's not exactly that weird though. But when Mary was only 9 years old, she could read and write Latin, speak French, speak Spanish. She knew how to dance, how to play music. Like, she was just 9 years old. Most of the people can barely handle one language when they were 9, but this kid knew, like, she obviously knew English and then 3 other languages as well. But what I find a little disturbing is King Henry VIII, her father has said that this girl never cries. It just sounds a little bit odd to me because every little kid cries, and especially someone with so much pressure. Like, how can she be okay with learning all those languages and everything? And that's not just all. I don't know whether this affected Mary or not, but there has been a lot of marriage treaties in her life. And the first one started when she was only 2 years old. Well, I don't know about Mary, but if I was only 2 years old and I was in an arranged marriage, I might even panic. Like, you're just 2 years old, and maybe she didn't care. Maybe, I don't know, she was just 2 years old. She didn't know much, so she was happy. Just saying. But this first marriage treaty was with the infant child of King Francis from France, and somehow after a few years it broke. And then when Mary was 6 years old, she was promised to her 22-year-old cousin. Seems like these royals didn't care about the marriage gap at all, and somehow that was also broken. And then again, another marriage treaty has been formed either with the second son of King Francis I or the king himself. Like, they agreed to either the father or the son. Like, that's very disturbing. And somehow the last marriage treaty arranged by King Henry was with Henry, the Duke of Orleans, and I have no idea whether this bothered Mary at all or not, or whether she was happy with it. Like, there's no solid evidence to prove either way, but there were other things that had been happening in Mary's life that ended up making her sad. It seems that the root of all her problem was the fact that her mother could not produce a male heir for the king. The king was very disappointed and tried very hard to divorce Mary's mother, but somehow he found it very hard to do so. He ended up sending Mary's mother away, and Mary was not allowed to see her at all. And it says that in 1531, Mary became a very sick and depressed child, especially due to this issue. And also her father, that once loved and cherished her, hated her now just because her mother could not produce a male heir. And somehow the king managed to end up getting her mother divorced, and he did not end there. He named Mary an illegitimate child and sent her away to live with another family. And he didn't even send Mary to her mother. It was a completely different family. And also he decreased Mary's title from princess to a lady. So the king ended up marrying again, and this wife was able to produce a male heir who later became King Edward VI. But the king ended up divorcing that wife as well and married a third time. This third queen gave birth to a daughter as well, but somehow she allowed Mary to return back to the castle and gave her her title as princess and also gave her right to success the throne. But when King Henry VIII died, Edward became the next king when he was only 12 years old and was crowned as King Edward VI. Mary was known as a very religious person, but she was a Roman Catholic, while both King Henry and King Edward followed Protestantism, and Edward did not like this. Edward really wanted Protestantism to be the religion of England even after he passed away, so knowing that Mary was the next heir to the throne, in many occasions Edward demanded Mary to change her religion, but Mary rejected all these demands. This made Edward angry and he tried his best to take away Mary's succession to the throne. And Edward learned that this could only be done by naming Mary an illegitimate child, but his counselors told him that he could not only remove one of his half-sisters, he has to remove both of them. So Edward ended up naming both Mary and Elizabeth illegitimate and tried his best to make Lady Jane Grey the next heir. But despite all these efforts, when at age 15 Edward passed away in 1553, Mary was crowned queen in Westminster Abbey. And after she became queen, she realized if she could not produce an heir, the succession to the crown goes to her half-sister Elizabeth, and she did not like this at all. So this is when Mary turned towards marriage. So at the age of 37, Mary decided to marry Prince Philip of Spain, and despite all the disagreements from her council members, because of this protest, Philip had to end up agreeing to many demands, and somehow finally they agreed, and the couple married just after 2 days of meeting each other. So therefore this is obviously not a love marriage, it is a marriage done purely for political reasons. In September 1554, after only 2 months of marriage, Mary started showing signs of pregnancy, and even her doctor confirmed her pregnancy, but somehow it is stated that later Philip doubted about the pregnancy, and in July the next year, Philip was proven to be right when all her pregnancy signs just went away without a child. And I have heard that this could happen if a mother is so looking forward to have a child, like desperate to have a child, her body, in order to cooperate with her mind, will start showing signs of pregnancies without an actual baby. So I guess Mary was really desperate to have a child. But after this happened, her husband Philip left England to command his armies in France, and it says that this made Mary go back to a state of depression again. And some says that this shows that Mary fell in love with Philip and she was sad to be parted with him in such a depressing time. Again in 1557, Mary thought that she was pregnant, but it also turned out to be false, and after being in pain for months due to either ovarian cysts or uterine cancer, she passed away at the age of 47 in 15 November 1558. And it seemed even after years she loved her mother so much, and she must have been regretting the fact that she was not even allowed to attend her mother's funeral, because her final wish was to be buried with her mother. But even after that, it seems a reunion with her mother was far-fetched, because ignoring her dying wishes, she was buried in a tomb in Westminster Abbey, where later Mary was to share with her half-sister Elizabeth, whom she did not even like. So apart from the life full of misery that Mary lived, I'm sure you are wondering why Mary was ended up with the name Bloody Mary. So I actually kept that part to the last, and this has to do with religion. And it seems that back in these days in England, it believed that only one religion can be in the country, and if there was any other practitioners of other religions, they were known as a plague to the country and its government. So Mary, being the devoted Roman Catholic she is, she had executed around 300 Protestant priests and bishops, and her main execution method had been burning at the stake. Burning is known to be one of the, if not the most painful method to die, and she had killed so many people like this. And it is also known that she had made an archbishop watch two of his fellow bishops burn at the stake. Like, she made this archbishop watch these two people screaming in agony while they died. It seems that there were other kings and queens of England that executed people for not following their religious beliefs. So I guess the reason why Mary was called Bloody Mary is because her brutal way of executing people. So guys, that is it about Queen Mary I. I really hope that you guys will stay safe and don't do rituals such as the Bloody Mary ritual. It just seems like a simple game, but we really do not know the depths of its dangers, and at the end of the day we have no idea whom we will end up summoning. So with that being said, we have come to the end of this video. I hope you liked it. If so, let me know by clicking that like button, and also subscribe to my channel. Let me know in the comments down below, have you ever played any games to summon any ghosts or spirits, or to talk to any ghosts or spirits in your life? I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, you guys have my love. Bye.